very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching 6 Stories at 6 with me, Oina Mitra. Over the next half an hour, I'll take you through those 6 stories which have dominated the headlines today. So here we go. Up first, a frame-by-frame account of all that has unfolded in Bangladesh in the last 12 to 18 hours as radicals take Dhaka by storm. Second, who is Osman Hadi, the controversial political leader whose killing led a ruthless, absolutely ruthless mob to unleash total anarchy on the streets with no fear of the law whatsoever? Third, Republic TV continues its Save the Aravallis campaign, for we believe that without India's shield, there will never be a long-term solution to the issue of AQI. Next, a special investigative report that puts into context how the Delhi government is essentially defying government rules, throwing the so-called grab for measure into the bin. Then a look at how India's political class has dismissed India's biggest public health emergency, with Parliament being adjourned without having debated the issue of AQI. And finally, the story of former Maharashtra Minister Manikrao Kokate, who has been convicted in a 1995 cheating scam. With that, let's get started. And viewers, our first story, fresh violence has erupted in Bangladesh since last night after anti-India activist Osman Hadi died in Singapore. Osman Hadi, he was attacked. He lost his life in a killing, and what essentially happened was that viewers, his killing led to a violent mob unleashing open anarchy and arson violence in Bangladesh. Offices of leading newspapers including Daily Star and Prothomalo ransacked, vandalized. The complete story of what has unfolded in Dhaka over the last 24 hours, frame by frame, brought to you. Take a look.
Offices set ablaze. Properties vandalized. Documents burnt. And all this in Bangladesh after Singapore Foreign Ministry confirmed the death of Osman Hadi, an anti-India activist and the forefront campaigner for disbanding Sheikh Hasina's Awami League. Ransacked, vandalized and burnt. This is the office of Dhaka's leading national newspaper, Daily Star. Visuals describe the plunder of Prothomalo office, another leading national daily in Bangladesh. Violent mob entered the Prothomalo office, destroyed it, vandalized the property, and all the papers were thrown out and burnt in open. This is the residence of former Bangladesh PM Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The smoke of radicalism rises with a free run to extremists in Bangladesh. The mob that calls itself student activists marched, plundered newsrooms, while journalists barely escaped. As anarchy and arson gathered steam in Bangladesh last night, anti-India slogans were raised outside the Indian Assistant High Commission. With extremism on rise, Indian envoy's residence was also attacked.
And viewers, Bangladesh is once again on the edge, as we just showed you, reeling from a fresh wave of protests after it turned violent. Streets have now erupted in protests as 32-year-old radical student leader Sharif Osman Hadi was killed in Dhaka. Known for his hardline anti-India and Greater Bangladesh stance that has included Indian territory, specifically India's northeast, Hadi's killing has sent shockwaves across the country and ultimately unleashed a ruthless mob who have been on a rampage. This essentially is an escalation of the violence that we have seen in Dhaka since last year, the student uprising of 2024. Take a look.
Bangladesh is reeling from another violent turn in its turbulent politics. Severe unrest, anti-India slogans. The trigger point? Assassination of their 32-year-old radical student leader, Sharif Osman Hadi. A radical student leader with an anti-India stance. Also, circulated maps of so-called Greater Bangladesh that had several Indian territories. According to police, the timing of the attack immediately raised alarms. Hadi was shot at 2:25 p.m. in the Bijoynagar area. The video shows Hadi was riding in a rickshaw when he was followed by attackers on a motorbike, one of whom opened fire before escaping. Osman Hadi was a frontline leader of last year's July uprising in Bangladesh, the student protest that ended the 15-year rule of ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. His killing raises urgent questions about power, extremism, and whether the country's unrest is entering a far deadlier phase. Hadi headed the radical student outfit in Kalab Manch to dismantle the Awami League. Hadi was prepared to transition from activist politics into electoral politics. Despite getting barred by UNIS government from contesting the national elections, Hadi was a candidate for the upcoming polls and was campaigning as an independent candidate from the Dhaka's Bijoynagar area. His campaign for the February 12 elections was in full swing when he was shot in the head by unidentified gunmen on December 12. Hadi was sent to Singapore earlier this week for advanced treatment after doctors in Dhaka described his condition as extremely critical. But Hadi succumbed to his injuries on Thursday despite the best efforts of the doctors. With Hadi's death, Bangladesh stands at a dangerous crossroads, and the fight for power threatens to plunge the nation into even deeper chaos.
Viewers, the Aravallis is one of the world's oldest mountains and the ancient Indian range, which is now at the center of a growing environmental alarm. A Supreme Court order which essentially redefined what qualifies as Aravalli land now leaves nearly 90% of the range outside legal protection. This change has triggered concerns of increased mining, loss of green cover and a serious threat to North India's climate balance. And why so? Because at this point in time, this order has come at a time when North India is reeling with severe amounts of pollution. This is the hashtag that we are following here at Republic TV. Save the Aravallis, save AQI.
India's oldest mountain range is facing its biggest threat yet. A threat that could change North India's climate, water security and survival itself. A Supreme Court order redefining what counts as Aravalli has triggered a massive national outcry and a fight to save a dying mountain system. On November 20th, the Supreme Court accepted a new definition saying only landforms 100 meters or more above the ground will be legally recognized as Aravalli. The impact, only 8.7% of the range now qualifies, meaning a staggering 91.3% may cease to exist on paper. This is not just a legal change, it is a climate disaster in the making. The Aravallis are a natural security wall stopping the Thar Desert from marching into North India, protecting crops, communities, and cities. Environmentalists say this order could trigger a chain of collapse. Hotter cities, dirtier air, and a future where North India risks being swallowed by desertification.
How do you measure 100 meters height? Like any mountain or any geographical form, when it is measured from mean sea level. Here the order says that it will be measured from the surrounding area. That is not scientific. So how do you measure a mountain or a hill range which is 100 meters? I mean, this is not a very scientific way to measure. It is not recommended. It is not scientific.
Right now, it is our one of our biggest water recharging zones. It also looks after the macro and the micro biodiversity of the route that it runs. It's almost a 690 kilometer long range. जो जैसे बताया कि ये 4 states में होता है, तो हर state का जो उधर का flora and fauna है उसको nurture करता है, ground water recharging करता है. So it is like a wall also for us, which prevents the Thar Desert to come into our states. ये हटने से हमारा जैसे डेजर्ट बहुत जल्दी ग्रो करता है, ये डेजर्ट हमारे घरों तक पहुंच जाएगा.
The last 40 years around, the official figure that stands of the hills that have been mined in Rajasthan stands at around 32. And over a period of time, we have already seen, of course, the unofficial numbers are much higher, but already we are seeing, the impact of it in terms of the weather change, the climate change, the pollution, the desertification. If the storms have increased many folds and they've become so much stronger. So just imagine when, these 32 or 35 or whatever number of hills is a very small percentage of the hills in Rajasthan that have been blasted away. And if this order comes into being, we stand to lose 99% of the Aravallis in Haryana, in Rajasthan, and 90% in Haryana.
The lower ridges, now excluded, are not minor hills. They recharge groundwater, control dust, regulate temperature, especially for Delhi NCR now choking for breath. On ground, the damage is visible. Republic at Kotputli in Rajasthan, one of the hit zones.
Let us make you understand. Now, as you see on the other end, that is a mountain in another village. And according to the locals here, this mountain where you can see me standing was also of the same height. But it was actually chopped down, it was actually cut and brought to this height, so that later such decision would be accepted by the court. These would be open for mining and construction as well. Now, as per the villagers, the company here has a lease for a different kind of construction material, which is chuna patti in Hindi, and these are the ranges which are usually used for it.
जो अल्ट्राटेक सीमेंट जो खनन कर रही है, यह मंदिर माफी की ज़मीन है, SC/ST की ज़मीन है और आम रास्तों की ज़मीन है, और इनको लीज मिली हुई है चूना पत्थर की, और ये जिसकी सीमा होती है 3 फीट गहराई खोदना, और ये करते हैं 20-20 फुट के क्या है वो ड्रिल डालते हैं, और भयंकर क्या से धड़कन होती है, मकानों में दरारें आ गई, एलर्जी हो गई, प्रदूषण इतना भयंकर हो गया कि नरक का जीवन जी रहे हैं.
From Kotputli to Mohanpura, Jodhpura village, the anger is spreading. Hundreds are protesting, demanding a rollback of the order. These are not just protests, this is a movement to save India's oldest mountain range. It is above the saving the future of an entire region.
Viewers, moving on, rules are meant to be followed. But right here in the heart of the national capital, they are being blatantly ignored. Late at night, labourers were caught red-handed at a construction site, and when they were approached, they fled the scene. Not just this, we also caught on camera trucks loaded with sand and concrete which were rolling into central Delhi under the cover of darkness. So-called Grab 4 norms seemingly ignored, as workers claim they didn't even know that construction had to stop. Shockingly enough, the administration says that these vehicles had permission to work. Now, why is this important? Because we want to essentially tell you that while the pollution debate rages not necessarily in the corridors of the parliament, but otherwise across India, what really happens when the government itself defies government rules?
It was started very recently. The lights are on. Everybody has just the moment they got to know that we are here, they've gone into hiding, and it is very clear that under the nose of the Delhi police, the authorities, and the Delhi government, the construction works are still underway.
This is the most glaring example of how a government is defying government rules. In the heart of Delhi, a handful of labourers were caught red-handed late at night at a major construction site. Watch how they flee upon being approached.
भैया क्या चल रहा है ये तो अभी तो बंद है ना कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क्स?
कहाँ पे?
पूरे जगह में, पूरी दिल्ली में ग्रैब 4 लगा हुआ है, कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क बंद है।
सर तो ये परमिशन है सर।
कैसे परमिशन है? ग्रैब 4 में कैसे परमिशन हो सकता है?
Trucks laden with sand and concrete rolled into central Delhi under the cover of the night.
Well, we are here in central Delhi, one of the biggest projects here of the central government, and you can see the people we have tried to question here. They're saying that they have the permission has been granted for the construction work here. However, despite the Grab 4 restriction in place, it is well within the vicinity of central Delhi, where surrounded by houses of some of the senior most leaders, senior most politicians.
The joke is on the government's so-called Grab 4 norms, as the labourers say they were unaware that construction work had to be stopped.
मना होता तो फिर यहाँ काम क्यों करते हम?
तो आप लोगों को नहीं पता है कि ये ग्रैब 4 लगा हुआ है और यहाँ पे काम नहीं कर सकते?
जो हमको सरकार बोलेगी तभी मानेंगे, हमको तो बस बोलते हैं ले जाओ तो हम लेके आ गए यहाँ।
What's more appalling is that the administration says they were given a pass to bring in materials.
तो सरकार के ऑर्डर्स हैं आपको?
हमको तो कार्ड बना के देते हैं एलएनटी का, वो कार्ड बोलते हैं ले जाओ काम करो जाके बस।
बताइए सर।
कोई जवाब नहीं दे सकता आप इसको।
बट आप ये कैसे जवाब नहीं दे सकते सर? पूरा प्रॉपर आवाज आ रहा है, कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क चल रहा है, ये कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क तो मना अभी ग्रैब 4 है।
सर आपको अलाउ नहीं है मैडम, प्लीज कृपया करके आप थोड़ा सा
तो आप मेरे को बता दीजिए, मुझे अलाउ नहीं है, बट ये
तरफ से मैडम अलाउ नहीं है।
ये सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का इतना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट है, यहाँ पे कैसे अलाउड नहीं है सर? I understand, sir. If photography is not allowed, please tell me how is the construction work underway?
A midnight reality check, an investigation that the Delhi government will not tell you about.
Okay, viewers, what is India's biggest crisis right now? Is it vote chori? Is it of renaming bills? Or is it the Vande Mataram debate? For Delhi residents, if you ask anybody, the answer is clear. The air that we are currently breathing is turning toxic. But in Parliament, priorities tell a different story. The winter session has ended sine die, with Lok Sabha claiming only 111% productivity and Rajya Sabha 121% over 92 hours. 15 Lok Sabha sittings, yet not a single day devoted to discussing the rising air pollution issue. People-centric problems clearly taken a back seat, while leaders were spotted sharing lighter moments inside and outside Parliament. While in reality, the national capital, you and I, the citizens, the very people who elected these politicians to power, are choking.
What would you answer to our question if we asked you, what is the biggest crisis in India right now? Would it be vote chori? Or Vande Mataram?
वंदे मातरम की गरिमा को पुनर्स्थापित कर रहे हैं, लेकिन कुछ लोग हम सबके खिलाफ यह नैरेटिव बनाने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं कि वंदे मातरम और जनगण मन के बीच एक दीवार खड़ी की जा रही है। ऐसा नैरेटिव बनाने का प्रयास यह विभाजनकारी मानसिकता का परिचय देता है, अध्यक्ष महोदय।
Or renaming the Manrega bill? Living in Delhi, you might answer the deteriorating level of the air quality. However, other issues are more important for our lawmakers, sitting comfortably inside the parliament, debating and discussing any and everything but the worsening AQI.
All important matters government is ready to discuss.
Both the houses of parliament have been adjourned sine die. For this winter session, Lok Sabha recorded a record productivity of 111%, while Rajya Sabha functioned for 92 hours with productivity of 121%. But the debate on people-centric issues held the least importance in the grand scheme of things. A total of 15 sittings of the Lok Sabha that took place, but not a single day spared for discussing increasing air pollution in the country. Now that the House is adjourned, people's hopes of action being taken against worsening AQI have been crushed. Rather, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari and Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra were seen having a playful moment, while Delhi chokes in toxic air.
Sir, this is regarding the highway between Chandigarh and Simla, which has very similar issues as the Honourable Member raised, except that in many places it seems like the retaining wall is so low that those are the very places where the landslide is taking place. So may I request you to please look into the matter? And may I also request you to grant me an appointment? I've been asking since June to talk about my constituency, sir.
मैडम, आज क्वेश्चन आवर के बाद आप आ जाइए, कभी भी आइए, मेरा दरवाजा हर समय खुला रहता है, अपॉइंटमेंट लेने की भी जरूरत।
Even on the last day of the winter session, the politicians chose to turn a blind eye towards this alarming issue. The House may be adjourned, but the crisis isn't. Parliament goes silent while the air we breathe turns deadlier by the day.
And finally, viewers, former Maharashtra Minister Manikrao Kokate's 2-year jail term has now been stayed by a court in Nashik. This comes just 2 days after he resigned following his conviction in a 1995 cheating scandal. He was later admitted to Lilavati Hospital with chest pain, delaying police action despite a non-bailable warrant waiting to be served. What's on the plate for him next is a legal battle, a pending arrest, and a political storm that is far from settling.
Maharashtra Minister and NCP leader Manikrao Kokate resigned from the post after conviction in a 1995 cheating case. Ajit Pawar, portraying full support to the verdict of the court, accepted the resignation, stating constitutional morality and institutional integrity to draw a veil on the case before the upcoming elections. In the latest, Kokate has complained about a sudden chest pain and has been admitted to the ICU of Lilavati Hospital in Mumbai. Following the arrest, Nasik police team, led by ACP Sandeep Mitke, reached Lilavati Hospital. After a discussion with doctors, police was informed that Manikrao Kokate is scheduled for an angiography test and discharge would take place if the reports are normal. Police has been left cooling their heels and to serve non-bailable warrants straight away upon discharge. It is left entirely on the medical reports on when the minister will be taken into custody. The opposition says just arrest and resignation is not enough and demands disqualification of the minister immediately. As per the allegations, the entire action is just to sweep it under the carpet, so the Indian National Congress does not face its consequences in the upcoming elections. Post all this, Kokate has also appealed the Bombay High Court to challenge the conviction and seek a stay on the sentence to avoid immediate disqualification.
And that's all that we had in this edition of 6 Stories at 6 for you. But do stay on with us, because on the other side we'll get you more live and breaking updates. My colleague Abhishek Kapoor. Thanks for watching.